Welcome to the Grant Writing Simplified podcast. This is the place to learn how to make a big impact in your community through grant writing and nonprofit consulting. The world needs you to step forward as a grant writer and use your skills to lead with confidence. I'm Teresa Huff, former special ed teacher turned grant writer and nonprofit strategist. In my 20 years of freelancing, I've helped nonprofits triple their funding and exponentially increase their reach. Now I'm stepping up to mentor freelancers and nonprofit leaders like you who are ready to take your skills to the next level. It's time to get intentional about your vision so you can create lasting change in your community. Learn the skills and strategies you need to become the grant writer the world needs. Let's do this. Hey friends, welcome back to our podcast power series, Grant Writer Fast Focus. Today is part 3 of this series, and I am helping you work through the mindset so you can start your grant writing career with clarity and confidence. We're going through this step by step in short, powerful little action steps each day. Make sure you download the workbook if you haven't yet. That's at teresahuff.com/fastfocus, and I'll link to that in the show notes. You can work through that step by step as we go through each day's assignments. And I really encourage you to take time and think through each one of those. The questions are simple, but your responses really need some depth to put some thought into that and really help you move forward. Now, you all know by now that I'm pretty passionate about all things grant writing and helping nonprofits, right? If you've listened to any of my other episodes, you've probably picked up on that. But I wanted to take a minute today to tell you why. Remember back in part 1, I encouraged you to really dig deep and figure out your why. Because after all, knowing your why is one of the first things nonprofits need to do. So it's pretty good practice for ourselves too. And it really does make a difference to understand your why before you start trying to go through steps that you really don't even know your purpose for doing those. For me, when it started out, grant writing was a great way to work from home when our kids were still really young, but I could still make an impact for good on the world and use my education degree and some of that training that I had gotten. Since then, I've worked with so many clients and so many different types of nonprofits. Food pantry, a nonprofit daycare, public and private schools, a senior center, orphan care, a youth center, and lots of others. I've helped nonprofits triple their funding and hugely increase their impact. But here's the thing though, that didn't happen overnight. Not at all. It took years of hard work and perseverance and mentoring and risks. It was only after I stepped back and looked at the big picture that I realized how much we've collectively accomplished. Not me, but me and these nonprofits. I've been a part of the process of helping them and the facilitator along the way, but boy, what an impact it's made. Now, before you think it's all been fun and games, I sure didn't win every single grant. If I hadn't started with that first application, though, I never would have gotten to the point of helping the nonprofits triple their funding. I started out as a new mom, as a former special ed teacher who knew nothing about grant writing. But did you hear that key word there? I started. I started with what I knew, and I went from there. And that's exactly what I want you to do, because the thing is, you can too. People ask me all the time, how do I start? You start with what you know, and you go from there. Figure out the shortest distance from point A to point B. But to do that, you need to do 4 things. And by the way, these are the 4 phases that we cover in Fast Track to Grant Writer in the group coaching program. And the word fast, in case you wonder why I keep emphasizing that in all these different programs, it's because it stands for 4 important words: focus, aspire, shape, and track. Now I'm going to go through each of these and give you this framework so that you can work on this too. And if you need more support, jump in the program. I would be so happy to support you through this. So step 1, focus. You need to take inventory of all your skills and resources. We talked about this back in part 2, so be sure to catch that if you haven't yet. You need to get really clear on your career goals and what's realistic for you in your current season. What kind of income do you need to make? How quickly do you need to make money? How much time do you have to learn? I talked through some questions about this back in episode 40, so make sure you check that out. Questions you need to ask when you're considering becoming a grant writing consultant. So once you're clear on those goals, you need to develop your career roadmap. That could be either for starting your consulting business or working for a nonprofit as an employee. They both have pros and cons. They can both be very good careers. But which one is best for you will really depend on all these other factors. So take some time to think this through, and that will really pay off later. Now, if you are just feeling so scattered and you don't know how to move forward, we dig deep and talk this through, and we'll bounce it around together in the Fast Track to Grant Writer. All right, step 2 is aspire. You need to learn the pro grant writing strategies. So here you need to step it up and put in the time, and really you need to start writing. Of course, I'm partial to the Grant Writing Simplified podcast for learning, but there are also some great books and online groups out there that are helpful. And speaking of, I just opened up a LinkedIn group called Grant Writing Simplified if you want to pop over there and join us. Back in episode 32, I shared a list of recommended reading, and these are things that a lot of my podcast guests have recommended or that I've read myself that have been really helpful. But here's a tip. In grant writing, you're going to need to understand so much more about nonprofits than just how to write a grant. So I recommend you also learn about topics like nonprofit operations, board relations, fundraising, building relationships, volunteer engagement, things like that. Not to overwhelm you, but just to know that if you've already been involved in some of these areas, these are going to help you as you transition into grant writing. Having those skills will help you stand out more, and you can better advise your nonprofit when you're looking at their big picture strategy as it relates to grants. Step 3 is shape. You need to build a professional online presence and make sure your LinkedIn profile reflects your career goals. LinkedIn has really changed over the last few years, and it's so much more than a resume now. So figure out your goals and what you want first, and then start shaping your LinkedIn profile to reflect that. Don't stress out if you don't have a website yet. You can use your LinkedIn profile in place of that, and you can direct people to that in the meantime. And this is one of the bonus modules in the Fast Track to Grant Writer program. I threw it in as an extra, thinking it would supplement what we were already doing, but my students were actually blown away at how helpful it was in crafting their new direction and getting feedback to feel really confident in their profiles. So I really recommend polishing this up, get a professional picture, make sure your descriptions and your title and everything match the direction you want to go, and that reflects the work that you've done and the actual accomplishments, not just listing out dates, but the actual things that you've achieved. Step 4 is to track. You need to execute your action plan. Look within your network and see what resources you have available to you so that you can build your grant writing career around your ideal life with confidence. You need a plan and you need goals. I can't tell you what a difference that's made for me and for the other Fast Track to Grant Writer alumni. Diego said about one of the modules that it really pushed him to own a couple of the skills that he knew he had, but he didn't really put out into the world. Sometimes we need that extra push. The accountability piece is huge. That's been a game changer for me in my business and for the students in the program. So there you have it. Focus, aspire, shape, and track. You need to focus. You need to take inventory and get super clear on your career goals and what's realistic right now. Aspire to learn grant writing. Learn as much as you can about nonprofits. Shape your LinkedIn profile to be a professional presence that reflects the type of work you want to do, and track your goals. Where do you want to be 6 months from now? Where do you want to be 2 months from now? And set up your goals and your plan around that. Those are the steps most new grant writers miss, and it's the support I wish I'd had as a new grant writer trying to figure all this out on my own. I've worked with people from college students all the way up to retirees and every age in between, and every single one of them has come to me and said, I just don't know if I have what it takes. And then after working together, every single one has had this light bulb moment where they've said, wow, I didn't even think about using my skills that way. I never would have come up with that on my own. And they're so excited and confident about moving forward because they know what they have to offer, and they can clearly articulate that to nonprofits. They know how to reach out to clients, how to talk to people in their network. They know how to start. I wish I could sit down with every single one of you one-on-one and help you map this out together, but this is kind of a broad framework just to help you get started. But if you need specifics, then please come join us in the Fast Track to Grant Writer program. Sometimes a certain skill or a talent is so easy for us, it's so natural that we don't even realize what a valuable asset it can be to someone else. We don't realize that that's a hugely marketable thing. Lisa said, "I'm beginning to see how many nonprofits get ahead of themselves, and rightfully so, as they want to get out there and help. But without all their ducks in a row, they aren't likely to get funding and be able to keep moving forward. I appreciate the ways you're showing us that we can help nonprofits. There are many nuggets we can incorporate into consulting that I hadn't previously considered." So it really does help to have someone else to show you and kind of be a mirror to you of what your experiences can turn into and what that could really lead to. So your assignment for today, remember each day we're going to have a short homework assignment. Which of these fast track areas, focus, aspire, shape, or track, are you the most confident in? And which area are you the least confident in? And what would help you be more confident in those skills? I want you to be specific here. What can you do to help yourself be more confident? Is it the focus where you need to really set up your goals? Is it aspire where you need to learn the grant writing itself? Is it shape where you need to just put yourself out there and polish your online presence? Or is it track where you need to really map out your specific plan to get there? Which one of those areas do you need the most support? If you are ready to be the grant writer that nonprofits have been waiting for, and you keep feeling that compelling tug to help, but you don't know where to start, and you're ready to fast track your way to a solid nonprofit career, then sign up. I would love to support you. Go to teresahuff.com/VIP. And if you're not quite sure if this is the right thing for you or not, message me on my website or on LinkedIn with questions, and I'll help you sort this out. I'll help you determine, is this the right timing, the right fit? And if not, I'll tell you that too, because I don't want you wasting your time and money on something that's not a good fit. But if it is a good fit, then the sooner the better, because the world needs you out there and your community needs you. If this was helpful, and if you know someone else that could benefit from this series, would you please share it with a friend? Help spread the word, and let's get more grant writers out there helping nonprofits. Sign up for the Fast Track to Grant Writer at teresahuff.com/VIP. The doors are opening up July 1st, so I am enrolling now for the next round. So come on in. I would love to have you join us.